Erik Ten Hag, verdict imminent. 3 major signings coming in this summer, plus all of your latest news on outgoings and a big story around a key coach who has been confirmed as leaving the club. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this evening's live show. But before we get into that, please smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 200 likes on this evening's show. And if this is your first time watching, please subscribe to the channel as well. I will be live throughout the whole of the transfer window. I'll have a video for you in the morning, a video for you in the evening, and if anything breaks during the day, I do go live as well. So make sure you get involved here on Daily Red Devil. So much stuff to talk about on the show this evening. So let's just get straight on into it, shall we? Let's start the show off by talking about a confirmed outgoing. Now, this is actually a staff member, not a player, but I still think it's relevant and I still think it's, important information to discuss. And the headline is this, that Benny McCarthy, the striker coach, has been confirmed as leaving the Manchester United squad after not being offered a new contract at the club. So I'll be honest with you. I think in the first season, Benny McCarthy got a lot of praise. Obviously, Marcus Rashford had his highest goal scoring season, and a lot of people put that down to Benny McCarthy. I've not really heard much about Benny McCarthy this season, to be honest. He's kind of gone under the radar. Is he a world-class striker coach? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not going to sit here and slag him off because I think, he's achieved a lot in his career. He was a decent-ish striker in his day, but I probably do think that we could get someone potentially better, when you think of the other types of striker coaches that are out there on the market. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with Benny McCarthy. Benny McCarthy has also been talking about the fallout between Jadon Sancho and Erik Ten Hag. So this is really, really interesting, this bit. So Benny McCarthy has said this. He says, the manager has a strong character. Jadon thought he was not at fault, that he had done nothing wrong. He didn't see why he had to apologise. Sometimes we must apologise because a player will never win against a manager. Okay, so that's the first bit. And then the second bit says, I spoke to the manager and told him that Jadon thinks that if he apologises, he will be seen as someone who doesn't train hard and that everything that has happened will be true. The manager said all he wanted was an apology. It's interesting that we are actually getting some kind of truths come out about this Jadon Sancho situation, The thing that I don't really understand about this story is, right, Man City said that he didn't train properly. England said he didn't train properly. There were stories from Dortmund before he came to Man United saying he didn't train properly. So he's already got this attached to him, this persona of a player who's maybe a bit lazy, who doesn't train very hard. So I don't see why he thinks, it's going to damage his image if he apologised to Erik Ten Hag. I think if anything, it would have made the Man United fan base respect him a hell of a lot more than we do now. And he probably would still be playing for us, although arguably he's about to go and play a Champions League final on Saturday, whereas we're, going to be in the Europa League next season. But it will be very interesting to see how the Jadon Sancho story materialises. And it's interesting that Benny McCarthy's done this interview. Obviously, with him leaving the club, he's probably, feels a little bit more like he can have conversations about stuff that he didn't before. But yeah, obviously I wish Benny McCarthy all the best. It does show how ruthless Ineos are, though. It shows that they are clearing the staff around Erik Ten Hag. Obviously, Benny McCarthy joined at the same time as Erik Ten Hag, didn't he? Does this mean that Erik Ten Hag's going? I'm not sure. I wouldn't say just because Benny McCarthy's going, it means Erik Ten Hag's going. Benny McCarthy's contract expired and Ineos decided not to renew it. So there's a big difference here. Whereas Erik Ten Hag's got 1 year left of his contract plus the option of an extra year. So it's a slightly different situation. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Welcome everyone who has just joined the show this evening. Somebody says, what do you think about our links with Chalobah from Chelsea? That was something I was going to talk about. So thank you for bringing that up. I do not think Chalobah's a particularly good player, to be honest with you. If you had to pick between Chalobah and Todibo, I'm picking Chalobah any day of the week. He's I'm picking Todibo any day of the week, not Chalobah. I think Todibo is levels above Chalobah. I'm sorry. And I think after us getting stung last season, paying, 55, 60 million for Mason Mount from Chelsea, if Chelsea don't want Chalobah anymore, that's kind of saying something. Do you not think? Do you think we would sell Martinez to Chelsea? No, of course we wouldn't. Would we sell Martinez to Man City? No, of course we wouldn't. So the fact that Chelsea are willing to sell him kind of sums it up a little bit for me. But yeah, this story's being widely reported today across all of the UK media that apparently Man United want to sign Trevor Chalobah. Now, reading this story, it makes me think, does that mean Poch is coming? Why else would we be so heavily linked to him, you know? I don't know. It's a little bit strange, but let me know in the comment section, guys. Would you like to see Trevor Chalobah at Man United? For me, it's a no. I think he's an okay player, but I don't think he's really Manchester United quality. I mean, if Chelsea are willing to let him go, then that kind of sums it up. And the other thing as well is, like, a lot of times players want to leave because of their contracts running out and all the rest of it. Chalobah's got 4 years left of his current contract. He's only just signed a new contract with Chelsea. So if they don't want him, you know, a team that finished, I think, one place above us, then that kind of says it all for me. You know? It's like if Chelsea were in for Lindelof, I'd say you're welcome to him. I kind of feel like it's a similar situation, you know? That it's somebody that Chelsea don't want, so why would we go and buy him? But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. For me, it's a definite no. I don't want Trevor Chalobah at Man United. I would much rather have Todibo. I'd much rather have Branthwaite. Like, there are plenty. I mean, I'll be honest with you, right? I would much rather have Tosin as a free agent from Fulham. Yeah. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat this evening. Get your comments in, guys. So just to be clear as well, right, there's a poll that's running on the show at the moment, and the question is a little bit misleading, so I want to clarify it. The question is this: what do you think Ineos will do? And in brackets it says, not what you want to happen. And it's about the manager. So if you're watching this back on repeat, let me know in the comments. So what I'm asking you to give me your opinion on is, what do you think Jim Ratcliffe's going to decide to do? So if you want to keep Erik ten Hag, then that's not really what I'm asking you. Does that make sense? It's a little bit confusing, but I wanted to actually get the feeling of the fan base at the moment. Like, I'm trying to ask you to predict what Ineos will do. So put all of your personal feelings to one side. So if you want Erik ten Hag to stay, just forget that for a minute. And imagine you're Ineos, imagine you're Jim Ratcliffe. What decision do you think they're going to make? That's what I'm asking you to let me know. So let me know in the comment section, guys. Right, Ineos to keep Ten Hag or Ineos to sack Erik ten Hag? Let me know what you guys think. I'm 50-50 at the moment, being honest with you. The headline that we're getting this evening, is that apparently we'll have a decision in the next couple of days. I personally feel like they're waiting until the FA Cup triumph has kind of died down a bit, and then they're going to get rid of him. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Maybe I'm being negative. Maybe I'm being pessimistic, which I am most of the time. It's a really difficult one. Like, obviously, I would love Erik ten Hag to stay. I think it's 100% the right decision. But I don't know. I just have this scary feeling. I don't know why. I have this feeling that Ineos are wanting to come in and put their own stamp on the club. They want their own yes man. They want their own person they can control. And I don't feel like Erik ten Hag is that person. I feel like Erik ten Hag is a big presence. I feel like he wants involvement in things. He wants to, you know, sign off on the transfers. And I don't think that's what Ineos are looking for in a manager. I think they're looking for somebody who can just come in and be told what to do, so, you know, and they'll buy the players and then they'll coach the team, and that's kind of it. Whereas I think Erik ten Hag, it's a very, very different situation. So apparently in the next couple of days, we will be able to stop talking about this, although whatever decision they make, we're still going to be talking about it, aren't they? If they decide to sack Erik ten Hag, we'll be talking about that for the next month. If they decide to keep him, we'll be talking about, was that the right decision? Who are we now going to sign? So whatever decision they make is obviously going to be a big talking point. So just to throw a little bit into the mix here. So Mike Phelan, obviously the assistant manager for Sir Alex. He was one of the assistant managers under Ollie. Somebody who's obviously been around the club for a very, very long time, Mike Phelan. He was on TalkSport earlier on today, and he was asked whether he thinks Erik ten Hag deserves another season at Manchester United. And Mike Phelan says no, he doesn't think he does. Me personally, I just think he's bitter. You know, he got invited back to Man United when Ollie was here. They effectively failed. They won nothing. Ten Hag's come in and won trophies back-to-back for the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson. So I personally think Mike Phelan's just bitter. I mean, how many people can tell me where Mike Phelan's working now? I mean, he's not. He's doing the odd interview on TalkSport. So that kind of sums it up for me. But yeah, in relation to the decision, Apparently, clarity on Erik ten Hag's Manchester United future is expected before the end of the week, either today or tomorrow. So that's the headline coming out of the UK today. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. Obviously, it's going to be a massive story, whichever way it goes. I still hope and pray that they keep him. I think it's the right decision. But obviously, we'll have to see what Ineos do, won't we? Fred says, do you think they would have announced Erik ten Hag was sacked if we'd have lost the cup? Yeah, I do. I think they've changed their mind, or considering changing their mind because of the FA Cup win, because so much of the fan base are backing Erik ten Hag now. So much of the fan base are uniting, saying, that Manchester United that Manchester United fans want him to stay. I think that they're now second guessing themselves. But yeah, we'll wait and see. The news I've got is that apparently some of the board members want to keep Ten Hag and some of the board members don't. Apparently, Jim Ratcliffe and Jean-Claude Blanc want to keep Ten Hag, but apparently Sir Dave Brailsford wants to get rid of Ten Hag. That's what I'm hearing today. My answer to that will be, Sir Dave Brailsford comes from a cycling background. He doesn't come from a football background, He's obviously helped out at Nice, but Nice, let's be honest, have actually got worse since Ineos have got there. They've finished lower each year than they did before Ineos came. So I don't know. It's difficult. It really, really is difficult. I would be pretty disappointed if the decision on our next manager was decided by Sir Dave Brailsford, being completely honest. I think Jean-Claude Blanc's got a much richer history in football. He was the director of football at PSG, the director of football at Juventus, and obviously Jim Ratcliffe is a lifelong Man United fan. So you'd hope that he would have more of an understanding of the club and all the rest of it. But as I said, the board is apparently split. Some want him to stay, some want him to go. So I guess what will happen is there'll be a vote. Obviously, Joel Glazer's on the board as well, which scares me. I don't understand how Joel Glazer can have a say. I know it's his football club, or at least he thinks it is, and that he's owns it, even though it's actually his dad who bought it and he inherited it. But the fact that Joel Glazer is going to have a say on this does make me very, very concerned, to be honest, because let's be honest, he doesn't know much about football. He comes over and watches one game a season, if that. Everybody who's just joined the chat, if you could do me one small favour and smash a like on today's video, let's try and see 200 likes on this evening's show. It really helps to bring more people into the channel. So if you could go and do that for me right now, that would be really, really appreciated. And if this is your first time watching the show as well, please do consider subscribing. I will be live throughout the whole of the transfer window with a video for you in the morning, a video for you in the evening. And if anything breaks during the day, I go live as well. So make sure you subscribe here on Daily Red Devil. Right, let's move on to some signings though, because I think we can end up talking about the manager for forever, can't we? So the news I'm getting today is that apparently Manchester United are looking at 3 key signings this summer: centre-back, centre midfielder, and a striker. Those are the kind of big money signings that we're going to go and look to do. So just to break down the current people we're looking at in each position, just so you have a bit of an idea of what's going on. Centre-back wise, Jared Brathwaite and Todibo. Those are the 2 main targets. But Manchester United are apparently also in talks with Tosin, who is a 26-year-old English centre-back currently playing for Fulham, but he is about to be a free agent. So what will most likely happen is we'll get Tosin as a free agent and then either Todibo or Brathwaite. So that's what will happen in the centre-back department. Moving over to the midfield, Manchester United obviously really, really want João Neves from Benfica, but the likelihood of it happening is pretty small, I think. They want 100 million, which, let's be honest, is absolutely ridiculous. He's not worth 100 million. I think a more likely option is maybe Youssouf Fofana, who currently plays for Monaco. He's got 1 year left of his contract. There are lots and lots of clubs interested in him, though. PSG, Arsenal, Atletico Madrid, Milan. There's really, really strong interest in this player. He's in the French national team, 25 years of age, is a CDM, very, very good player. I would love to see him at Manchester United. He's available for about 28 million euros, so he's available for a really, really good price, obviously because he only has 1 year left of his contract. So it will either be someone like Youssouf Fofana, João Neves, or maybe Amadou Onana from Everton. Obviously, Everton are desperate to sell players. They've got until June the 30th to comply with financial fair play, and they need to sell a load of players to raise money. Otherwise, apparently, they're going to have to go into administration and will finish the start next season with 9 points deducted. So that's what's looking like in that department. Moving over to the strikers, The striker situation, we're looking like either Sesko, who apparently is in talks with Arsenal, so that might not happen. Xerxes, who I think is an interesting option, or Ivan Toney. So we've kind of got a bit of a short list of the players we're looking at. Big ups to Fred, who's just gifted 5 memberships to the Daily Red Devil Members Club. Thank you very much for your support, my friend. I really, really do appreciate it. If you have been gifted a membership by Fred, make sure you thank him in the comments. And yeah, make sure you show your appreciation, because it's a very nice gesture for him to do. But yeah, let's go through who I would like to sign in each position really quickly. So centre-back, I'm going Jean-Claire Todibo and toss in as the free agent backup. Midfield, I would probably go Yusuf Fofana if we could get him. I think for the price, I think he'd be a quality signing. I think Amadou Onana is a decent player, but it's going to cost us 50, 60 million because he's at a Premier League club. Whereas Yusuf Fofana, 25 years of age, in the French national team, playing every week for Monaco with only 1 year left of his contract and available for only 28 million euros. I think it's a bargain. Moving over to the striker, I think Benjamin Sesko would be a great option, but I just think that we're not going to get him. So he's going to go to Arsenal, is what I'm hearing. Man United are interested, but apparently Arsenal are going to, really, really push in for that deal to happen. So me personally, I would see if we could get Ivan Toney. I think Xerxes is an interesting option, but I don't think he guarantees us goals. And I think we do need that slightly older, more experienced striker, especially as we're going to have European football next season. We're going to be playing 8 games now in the Europa League group stage. So we definitely need options up front. And I think Ivan Toney is an interesting profile. But the only thing that maybe concerns me a little bit with Ivan Toney is his age, 28 years of age. And the narrative coming out from the club this week is that apparently Manchester United are going to be looking at players under 25. So I don't really see how Ivan Toney could fall into this category. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Maybe they make an exception, but I don't know. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat this evening. Amnat says Sesko is going to Arsenal. Yes, I agree. I think he will, yeah. Irfan says, what about Rashford to Arsenal? Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with Rashford to Arsenal. I mean, it was a story that was really, really fastly developing a couple of days ago with lots of Arsenal-based journalists reporting that, effectively Rashford to Arsenal was of interest, and even saying that Arteta had already spoken to Rashford. But as it stands, nothing else has really come since then. It's been quite quiet. So we'll have to wait and see. I think, with Man United winning the FA Cup, maybe Marcus Rashford decides he wants to stay. I don't know. Fred says, is there any news on keeping Amrabat? Nothing at the moment, mate. It's gone very, very quiet. Let's do a poll actually on that. So I'm going to ask you this simple question. Would you keep Amrabat? Okay. So the poll is up, guys. The question is simple. Would you keep Amrabat? If you're watching this back on repeat, you can let me know in the comment section. You can either write Amrabat stay or Amrabat go. Jarvis, hope you're good, mate, says Victor Gyores is the guy, maybe on the expensive side, but could be done for about 60, 70 million. Yeah, I think that's a really interesting option. I do. He fits the age profile. He's only 25 years of age. Obviously, he's been absolutely unbelievable for Sporting Lisbon this season, hasn't he? Absolutely tearing it up over there. But I think he's got a release clause, if I'm not mistaken, and I think it's around 100 million. Let me double check. Yeah, he's got a release clause of 100 million euros. And you know what Sporting Lisbon and Benfica are like. I think it's unlikely that they'll sell him for less than what the release clause is, because they know that they can sell them for that price effectively, can't they? Like, I know obviously we got Bruno Fernandes from them, didn't we? But yeah. Somebody says, what about a loan deal for Amrabat again? I don't think Fiorentina will loan out Amrabat again, but I might be wrong. Let me have a look at Amrabat's contract. Yeah, Amrabat's only got 1 year left of his contract at Fiorentina. So if they loaned him out to us again, then maybe we could do a loan with an obligation to buy next summer. That could be it. That could work. So, we take him on loan for another season, we pay his wages, and then we give Fiorentina the money next summer. Like, that could work. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Amrabat. I would personally keep him. I think he's a good option. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Somebody says we are skint. We'll be lucky if we get Elise. I think my understanding is that Elise isn't a number one target. For the right wing position he is, but apparently, you know, we want a centre-back, a midfielder and a striker. Those are the priorities. And, you know, if Sancho, if Sancho, Pellistri, Greenwood all leave, then a right winger would come in. But as it stands, as of recording this video today, like the three positions we would 100% sign is a centre-back, a midfielder and a striker. And the rest of the positions kind of depend on people leaving. So, for example, if Wan-Bissaka goes, we'll sign a new right back. If Mason, Greenwood, Sancho and Pellistri go, we'll sign a new right winger and so on, which does kind of make sense. I think, you know, you need to go into a transfer window with your three main targets, that being a centre-back, a centre mid and a striker. And then obviously, depending on how the deals progress throughout the summer, we can then, you know, see what happens. But yeah, there's obviously, the window doesn't officially open until June the 14th. So we've got a very long time of having these types of conversations before we actually, you know, get to the point where deals are actually going to start happening. Just quickly on the manager situation, 1 second. It has been confirmed in the last half an hour that Kieran McKenna has signed a new contract at Ipswich. That's been confirmed. There's photos of him up on Twitter of him signing the contracts and all the rest of it. So Kieran McKenna to Man United is definitely not happening. He has signed a new deal with Ipswich. So fair play to Kieran McKenna. I think in the grand scheme of things, Kieran McKenna has made the right decision. I think coming to Man United now would have been far too early in his career. I think he has the potential to become a Man United manager in the future. But imagine if he comes and gets relegated with Ipswich immediately, which could well happen. Or if he keeps them up and they finish in the top 10, people would say, you know, he's ready, bring him in. Somebody says, what do you think about Pedro Neto? To be honest, mate, I like Pedro Neto, but from what I'm hearing, you know, it's not a priority position. We are looking at Michael Elise in that position. So I don't think we'll go for Pedro Neto. And Pedro Neto obviously has, I think, quite a long contract at Wolves. I think he's got interest from Arsenal. So yeah, I think both deals are difficult, but my understanding is that the Elise deal is slightly easier because of the release clause. Because for £60 million, we can go to Crystal Palace and say, here's £60 million, and then we can effectively sign him. And you've got to remember as well, Michael Elise is a Man United fan as well, so that should give us, you know, a positive boost. Everyone who's just joined the video, please give the video a like if you haven't already. We're very close to 200 likes, so please give it a thumbs up if you haven't already, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Right. Let's crack on with the rest of the transfer news, though. Obviously, we spoke about Chalobah. Quickly on Casemiro. So, Ben Jacobs has been speaking earlier on today about Casemiro, and he is saying that apparently Saudi clubs are going to submit a bid for Casemiro. Apparently, Man United are asking for €50 million, which seems like a lot, but yeah, I mean, that's about £42 million. It's a lot of money, but when you think did we pay 70 million for Casemiro? I mean, if we did, that's absolutely crazy. Yeah, we paid €70 million for Casemiro. So, I mean, €50 million is probably fair to sell him 2 years later for 20 million under what we paid for him. So hopefully we can get that type of money. But from what I'm seeing, apparently the Saudi clubs are only willing to pay about 30 million euros. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens with Casemiro, but I would be extremely surprised if he's a Man United player next season. I would say it's 95% that Casemiro will be leaving the club this summer. I would be very surprised if he's still here, you know? He's definitely not of the level of the Premier League anymore. Obviously, on his day, he over the years, he has been a world-class player, but I think we can all agree that Casemiro is probably past his best, to be honest. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you to everyone who has joined me on the show this evening. I've got to go walk my dog, or two dogs, so I better go do that before they start demanding their walk. Have a great evening, everybody. I'll be back live at 11 a.m. UK time as normal. Please consider smashing a like on the video before you go. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. This has been Daily Red Devil. Thank you so much for joining me on the show tonight, and I'll speak to you all at 11 a.m. UK time tomorrow.